Yes, we are back. This is the 260. I'm Joe Walburn. I'm riding with Steve Alford over my shoulder. Dave's riding with Larry Bird, shotgun next to him. And we have the one and only, the great Jamal Howell from the Indy Heat. And Jamal, thanks for joining us on the 260. When I think of March Madness, brother, I think of you.
My man, I appreciate you. Thanks for having me, man. It's a pleasure.
Jamal, we're going to get into like the teams. 3 regional champions. Dave's going to kind of go through that. That's been huge for us. We're excited about the semi-state games coming up. I got to ask you about Matt Painter's coaching with Purdue in the tournament. But first of all, we kind of want to start with your roots. Cool. You played for Greg Taylor over at Southside. Nobody stomped the floor like Greg Taylor.
Oh man.
You were close and had a coach that a guy I played with, Ryan Bond. So you were very close with Bond. But tell us a little bit about coming up, being a Southside kid, and also when did you really grasp that love for basketball? And now you've kind of found your purpose with the game, haven't you?
For sure. Where my roots kind of started, man, just from birth. You know what I mean? The very first thing that my dad ever bought me, he always told me the stories. He bought me this, the indoor, outdoor, old school leather basketball. Yep. So, man, I've had a love for the game. Since birth. So my dad kind of instilled that in me. So then from there, I just kept playing. I played at Geyer Middle School.
Geyer, I went to that middle school. And you know what, though? When you stepped off the bus at Geyer, you better be able to throw some hands, right?
Hey, absolutely. Absolutely.
I was at a city championship. I was at Shawnee in a city championship.
Yeah.
And we were beat when we walked in the gym.
I know. So you played at Geyer.
Yeah. So from Geyer, back in the day, there was a feeder system, that presence, you know what I mean? So I always knew the Taylors. They made their presence known in the school because we were transitioning into Southside. So when I got to Southside, I had already, my family had come from, from Southside.
Sure. I went to school with your sister.
Yep. So I had already known all of the basketball players there. So, I just kind of fell in line.
Going through with Southside, had a great career at Southside.
Mm-hmm.
Then you went on and played for Indiana Tech.
Yes, sir.
Tell us a little bit about that experience. You played for Coach Klein, correct?
Yes. So my situation was a little different coming through. In high school, and this is a unique situation for me and my training and the coaching. So in high school, I was 5'9", maybe 130 pounds.
Sure.
But I could play. I was quick, and I could shoot the basketball. But, from a physical standpoint, I was behind the ball. So I didn't play a lot as a senior, and we had 8 seniors on our team, and 6 of those kids went on to play college basketball. So I actually walked on at Indiana Tech.
Did you really?
I've known Jason since we were kids. He ain't a big boy either.
Right,
so he probably loved you.
Absolutely. So a buddy of mine was like, hey, man, I've been over at Tech at this open gym. They still looking for dudes. So I go over there and I play. And the first 2 guys that I played against, one was Jason Klein.
Oh, my gosh.
Yep, I played against him.
What are the odds of that, Dave?
Right. And then Coach Terry Johnson.
He's testing him.
Oh, you played with
Terry Johnson at Purdue because Terry was
my gosh, what a name.
Was an assistant there. Yep.
Unbelievable.
Yep. So after a couple of sessions of going to those open gyms, Jason Klein signed me, and I walked on over there.
Wow. So now, fast forward. So obviously, you had to scrape for everything to get what you had to have in basketball. But you also sat back and were able to really study and learn the game. It's funny. When I went and played college football at Cincinnati, I told Dave, I didn't play. I had to hold the clipboard. It was so humbling.
Coming off the National Player of the Year in JUCO.
In JUCO. I was the Player of the Year in JUCO, and I went to Cincinnati and held the clipboard. You talk about a slice of humble pie, but But I learned the game so well. That's why people are like, how do you go out and do the football games, Joe? And your situation sounds similar. So I had to sit back, and I learned the game, Dave, and it was humbling. But listening to Jamal here, I think he had to fight for everything that he had to get, but it made you learn the game to where you're at now.
For sure.
When you're on the bench, you're another coach.
You don't have anything else to do
because you want to play so bad.
Right. So, and then at Indiana Tech, I'm gonna shout out 2 guys. When I first got there, and I didn't know anything about NAIA basketball.
Yeah.
And we brought in a kid that was he was the #1 junior college player in the country named Tyrus Smith out of Flint, Michigan. He just didn't have the grades to go high major. I still tell people to this day he's the best player I've ever played against in my life.
That was my next question.
He was supposed to go to Iowa State over Jamal Tinsley.
Over Jamal Tinsley?
Yes,
That
Tyrus
really-
Smith
Wow.
out of Flint, Michigan. And you talking for 2 years, I'm playing behind him.
Wow.
So he is like a brother to me. And he taught me just so much about playing the off guard position. And then we brought in a transfer after him named Jawan Cooley, who had played at Eastern Michigan. So, again, I was in one of those positions.
Wow.
But I tell people this, I didn't play a lot in college either.
Yeah.
But basketball helped me get my degree. And I understood I wasn't going to the NBA, so it wasn't no need for me to transfer and do all of that other
You
stuff.
play as long as you can keep going and
absolutely.
get your degree.
Yep. And if I didn't have basketball, I probably wouldn't have finished college.
Exactly. But think about it. Take us now. Now you're affiliated with the Indy Heat,
Yep.
and you
Yep.
deal and coach, and not only like coach and train. I have to tease you. I think you're a psychologist sometimes. I mean, you were dealing with all of these great kids,
Right,
And
for
you've
sure.
seen it, and you were a kid that had to wait your turn. You saw
Absolutely.
the great talent come in. So don't you think when you look back, my land, did it prepare you
For sure.
for what your purpose is, Jamal?
Right. For sure.
And how does that help you with the kids? You playing at Indiana Tech, and they look at that's beneath them.
Right.
No, it's high-end basketball.
It is. And I tell a lot of kids, like, man, everybody thinks they're a high major Division I player, and none of them have ever even went and watched a Division I college practice. It's very demanding, but again, playing at St. Francis, playing at Indiana Tech is still great basketball.
Well, Indiana Tech's in the national
Right.
championship right now.
Right.
They're going to play at 8 o'clock our time because they won last
Yep.
night.
Is that Blake Davidson?
Yep. Blake's there.
Balling over there. We see you, Blake.
And you also got the
Indy Heat
Lehrman kid.
alumni right there.
Andy Heat, give me some. We see you, Blake.
And you also got the
sir.
Lehrman kid from Dwenger.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well,
so,
you got both Davidsons and Lehrman.
so do you think that experience, though? I mean, your name is so well respected, not only in the 260, but around the state for basketball. Do you think that journey for you kind of helped you find your purpose?
Yes. Again, man, it makes you sit back and kind of analyze the game from a different standpoint.
Sure.
When you're spending a lot of time watching. One, you still want to be involved in the game mentally because you never know when your number's going to get called. And the moment your number's called, you better be ready to produce. Or, it's justification for coach to say, hey, man, I gave you a shot. You wasn't ready.
There's
now
the
you
bench.
can go right back to the bench. You know what I mean? So, and I was one of those dudes, like, I enjoyed watching my friends play well. You know what I mean?
And that's so key because I tell you what, it's hard to sit there. It was hard to hold the clipboard.
For sure.
But you know what? But you want to root for your dogs and your buddies,
Yes, yes.
And that's part of being a good teammate that I think sometimes, kids lose that sometimes.
Right.
And that's why I tell you, that's why you're the best at calling football games. Because from your end, being the clipboard guy,
Exactly.
you saw the game.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Now going forward, Jamal, we're going to go through some teams with Dave here.
Mm-hmm.
But how exciting it is for us in the 260.
For sure.
We knew Blackhawk. Blackhawk has the pedigree. They handled their business.
Absolutely.
How about the turnaround of Bishop Dwanger with the bigs? Ross just got after it, and we couldn't believe
Lehrman
more.
was on the boards all night long.
Oh, he was
right,
incredible,
right.
and we couldn't be more pleased with Wayne.
Absolutely.
We had Byron on last week, and he
Absolutely.
just was fantastic in his interview. And Dave, go ahead. I mean, Wayne, that's their first regional championship since the Reagan administration, the first Reagan administration, baby.
Well, obviously they're going against Kokomo. I watched that Kokomo North game. In reality, North did a pretty good job of getting
The big kid.
big boy out
Right.
because they got him in foul trouble. Wayne's going to have the best game they've ever had because I don't think the kid's going to do that again.
So
For
what do you
sure.
do, Jamal? Who do you match up on him? Is that HJ?
And by the way, he just became Gatorade Player of the Year
Yeah.
today.
Did he really?
Yeah.
Wow, how about that for some news? So do you dare play some zone? Do you put HJ on? I mean, put your hat on, Jamal. That's why you're here. What do you
Right,
do,
right.
man, if you're coaching Wayne on Saturday against Kokomo?
This matchup here will make you get creative in some things. I think the biggest thing you're going to have to do is throw a bunch of different defensive schemes at him. Me personally, I would play behind, because if he catches that ball over the top from side post position,
it's all over.
Like he's just dunking on you. So I would play behind.
And the kid's only been playing for 3 years.
Right.
He's only been playing for 3 years.
He's from the Congo.
Big Flory.
That's amazing.
Man.
So where do you? I mean, I'm assuming he's being recruited by everybody. Jamal.
Everybody in the country wants him.
Yep. Everybody's on him. He's the number 5 player in the country.
What I'm hearing is he's like in Kentucky.
Right.
Well, he moves well for a big kid.
Yes.
And you know what? We get spoiled watching Edie at Purdue exchange ends. But when I watched the Kokomo Wayne game, I was impressed with the kid that young and that size could exchange ends like that.
Absolutely. Plays with a phenomenal motor. The biggest thing when you watch kids that are that big and they have that much physical prowess over other kids, a lot of times you don't think they play hard. Like he's competing every single possession. He has good hands. Like, you see him catch those lobs one-handed.
In 3 years, guys.
Yes.
3 years.
Yeah, it's insane. It's insane.
Back to Wayne, I'm really liking that Preston Comer.
Right.
That kid's only a sophomore.
Well.
And we
Preston's
talked about
played
him
well.
last week.
Yep,
We wrapped up the interview with Byron.
In my opinion, he was the MVP of that game.
For sure.
He had so many timely threes, and he can dunk like it's nothing.
Right.
And the threes, Jamal, speak about this. Wayne is so dynamic with the guards, but when Preston can step out and shoot the three,
he makes them a better ball.
I feel like the whole floor opens up for Chase and Javon.
For sure. The big thing is, when you get a scouting report on Wayne, you're keying in on Javon Lewis and Chase Barnes. Like, those are the first 2 names. Whatever you get from Preston and from Monty, all of that stuff is bonuses. And then you add in HJ and Zy off the bench. When they rebound
Wayne's going to be dominant for years to come.
I like Zy, man. I love some Zy because that's a football kid. But when he comes off the bench, he gives so many good minutes. And Monte, and you know what? I love Monte too. You don't hear as much about Monte, but does anybody play harder?
Does all the dirty work. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
You need a hard-nosed guy like that. That's how you win close ball games.
Do you think that HJ or Zy or you think they can shove the big kid off the block? I mean, that's what I would try to do.
Right.
I don't know how close they're going to ref the game, Dave. I mean, you always talk about that, Dave.
In Northside game, they was watching it.
Right.
Yeah, I know, and that's the thing, man. How do you shove him off the block, Dave?
He was getting pretty banged up.
Was he?
So he goes to the ref and he goes, "Hey, man, they're getting me."
Right.
And after that's when they let up on him.
To wrap up with Wayne, Jamal, talk about your relationship with Javon and Chase. When Javon hit the winning shot in the sectional championship over Homestead, he ran to you.
Right.
Talk about that. That was a beautiful thing. We get so much into the wins and losses,
for sure.
But I want to hear about that relationship that you guys have.
For sure. So I met J. Lou, or Baby J as they call him, maybe about 2.5 years ago. And he saw all the training stuff that I was doing. So, he was interested in getting better. And then from there, we just kind of cultivated our relationship. And ever since then, he's allowed me and he's trusted me with my tutelage, especially with being a smaller point guard myself. And he kind of played similar to me, crafty, but he could score it from being small. So me and him kind of had a special bond from the beginning.
Yeah, you could see that. And Dave always talks about the footwork of Javon.
Right.
In any sport, I always tell the parents, it starts with the feet.
Absolutely.
Everything starts with the feet.
Yep, for sure. So just trying to get him to develop, always continue to work on that jump shot. When you're a small guy, you better be able to shoot the ball from deep.
Jamal, I'm going to somewhat skim over the Penn Hammond Central. But I want you to talk about the Penn guards. I mean, they're averaging 60 points.
Right.
They got possibly Mr. Basketball.
For sure.
Scoring 30 points a game.
30 points a game, Dave?
30 points a game.
In high school?
Yeah, but they 3 guard rotations.
Right.
So the other 2 are averaging 30 themselves together.
Wow.
We know we just got Gatorade Player of the Year. Who wins Mr. Basketball out of those 2? Or is there somebody else?
I mean, you always have to look at Big Xavier Booker from Cathedral. You know what I mean? Top 10 player in the country. But Marcus Burton
Oh,
He's done a phenomenal job. You know what I mean? He's a tough kid.
Does he have any offers?
He's committed to Notre Dame.
So he is
Oh,
going.
Notre Dame.
He's a Notre
He's
Dame
committed
kid.
to Notre Dame.
what makes his game different than everybody else, Jamal?
Man, you talking? He's 5'8", 5'9". Plays above the rim. He is lightning quick. He's lightning quick. He can shoot the basketball. Doesn't
If he
mind
wants the
being
ball,
physical.
he's getting the ball.
Doesn't mind being physical. When he gets in that lane, he's looking to get contact. So when you're a small guard, and I'll go back to Chase as well, because those are some of the things we're
Yes.
working on. So when you're a small guard, you got to learn to live on the floor. You know what I mean? I tell kids, you see all of the kids today wearing those arm sleeves,
Yeah.
right?
Yes.
And I ask them, do you know who started wearing those? And they're like, nah, not really. And I'm like, Allen Iverson wore them.
Yeah.
And he had to because he put the pads on the elbow because he lived on the floor. You talking about a 6-foot
Wow.
guard
Yep.
at 170 pounds dominate the NBA. You know, he's getting put on his butt almost every other play. His elbows are banged up. So,
Wow.
But also with Chase, so Chase is like my nephew. So me and his dad grew up together. Met him when I got to Southside. So I've been training Chase since he was like in the 7th grade. So
Oh, he's fantastic.
he is we've talked about Marcus Burton a lot, and Chase really likes him because Marcus Burton used to play for Indy Heat. And then he
Did he?
kind of,
Wow.
yeah, then he transitioned on and played
So
with
I mean,
Mac
obviously,
Fire.
we want Wayne to win.
Yeah.
I pray they do, but I think it's going to be Kokomo and Penn, and we're going to have the two great players.
Yeah.
Going
that could
at it.
decide Mr. Basketball right there.
That's like the old days of Sean Kemp against
Well, I tell you
Chandler
what.
Thompson.
Buy your popcorn and get up to Michigan City for that 4A
Yeah, you know I'm
semi-state,
rocking-
bro.
you know I'm
You got to
rolling
rock.
with the general,
We got to roll
baby.
up there with the 2-6-0 and watch that. Now, Dave, take us through 3A. Those Dwenger bigs. Ross was dominant. Dave, can they play with, maybe the number one team in 3A in Northwood?
Well, Northwood and that Cade Brenner for them, the kid's a stud. Dwayner's going to have to duplicate what they did last week at an inferior team. Now, they can possibly do that, but they're going to have to stop that Cade Brenner. And, I mean, he is lightning fast.
Right.
And he's going to Huntington, right?
Going to be playing for his son.
There you go, playing for Steve's son. So I feel like if Dwenger could slay the beast, I know it's a big if. I love Dwenger. I love Sam Campbell. I love the bigs. I saw him against Northside, and I felt like Dwenger hadn't played their best basketball yet,
Sure.
and it's all clicked. But I'm telling you what,
My analogy I give last week is
you
right
nailed
here.
it. You nailed it. Dwenger always plays good at the end. But Jamal, if Dwenger could just slay that beast with Northwood,
Man.
they could possibly win the whole state tournament.
You talking a team that turned that thing around. Like, I watched Dwenger early in the year,
Oh.
like in November. And I was like, whoo, this is a down year for Dwenger.
Yeah,
And you
yeah.
talking about at the end of the year to turn that thing around and play your best basketball at the end of the year. Like, they've done a phenomenal job. So kudos to that coaching staff over there.
They're 13-13. Northwood is 25-2.
I know. So we
Right,
gotta
right.
hope. We gotta hope Dwenger.
And what-
We gotta
one of
hope those bigs. I tell you what, I'd make it half court. I wouldn't worry about the shot clock. I'd burn my timeouts. I'd try to shorten the game, and I'd go big. But it'll be interesting. Let's talk about Black Hawk Christian, Dave. You talk about the program in the 260
Absolutely.
for basketball. We all stand back and think of Black Hawk Christian.
I had an old coach come into my office, it was last week, and he's a Black Hawk guy. And I go, they going to do it again? He goes, as long as they don't get bored. That's the thing. Goes,
Wow, don't
sure.
get bored, huh?
Yeah, because he said they are so good, and they know they're good, and they'll put up, get up 20 on a team, and then they're not putting out max effort.
What's your thoughts on Black Hawk, Jamal?
Love Black Hawk, man. Kellen Pickett is he's going to be with our 16U EYBL team this summer. He's just done a phenomenal job over there, man.
It's great-
Always want
great hire.
to say rest in peace to Coach Davison, man. It was
Yeah, God
really,
bless him. You know what?
really good dude.
Great dude, yeah. Yeah.
So, man, again, Matt Roth has done an excellent job over
has.
there, man. It's going to be tough to beat them in that class.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It is. It is. I tell you
I
what.
would be shocked if they lose.
Right.
Yeah, I tell you what, get out to those semi-state games on Saturday. We want to support our great teams in the 260, and now let's transition over to the March Madness, the NCAA tournament. I'm going to ask you about your boy.
Oh, man, come on. Let's go.
Let's go. Purdue, tremendous talent, tremendous development of kids. I got to be honest, sometimes the in-game coaching, but is this the year? And let me ask you this on top of that. When they break this press or figure this press out, can they make teams pay for pressing him, what would you do?
And why has it taken so long for them to figure out breaking the press?
Well, they struggled in the Big Ten tournament. They won the Big Ten tournament. Hats off. I love Purdue.
Right.
I love Purdue back when they had Troy Lewis, Everett Stevens, and Todd Mitchell. And what's interesting, that team got beat in '88. You know who they played the first two teams in the first round of the tournament that year, first and second round? Farley Dickinson, and they played Memphis. Look at the bracket, man. It's funny how history repeats. But Jamal,
for sure.
What do you do if you're Coach Painter? How do you deal with these issues with the pressure? And if Jamal Howell is coaching Purdue, what are you thinking about heading into this NCAA tournament?
Man, I think they've done an excellent job this year. I mean, they have a young backcourt, very, very young.
And you also got the freshman wall with those two guards.
Yeah.
I mean, they're not used to playing that many games. Every kid hits the freshman wall.
For sure. And Fletcher Lawyer, that's my guy. You know what I mean?
So
Another
tough.
Indy Heat alumni. Again, man, they just have to grow up overnight. You know, the tournament is all about matchups, and it's about who's playing the best basketball. So
how far do you think they'll go?
I'm writing it down, man. You're on the spot.
Purdue gets to the Elite Eight, and then after the Elite Eight,
it's anybody's game.
You know
game.
what? I'm saying Final Four because you know what? I think they're going to figure the press out.
Yeah,
I
for
think
sure.
Gillis is going to play bigger. And
his dad was a beast at Ball State.
And Jamal, correct me if I'm wrong, I feel like the NCAA tournament is all guard play, but it's also a lot of half-court play because you can play to the TV timeouts.
For sure. And if Fletcher Lawyer is making shots,
he gets back to the beginning of the year.
They get to the national championship.
Okay, now I got to ask you. Ben Johnson, head coach of Northside, and all your boys. They said, Joe, the first thing you ask him, man, is what happened to his North Carolina Tar Heels?
This is what we're doing. First day on the podcast, I got to deal with this stuff. Man, first off, special shout out to Ben Johnson. Ben Johnson, that's my little cousin, my blood relative. So he's doing a phenomenal job with changing the culture over there. So
if I could say something
light
about
on that as well.
If I could jump in and say something about Ben real quick, Dave. I've never seen a high school coach care more for his kids. When Jordan King committed this week to Purdue, he put on Twitter, "You did what you had to do. I did what I had to do." I think it's a beautiful thing. Ben's working as hard as he can, and Ben has also captured the magic of social media. And Ben, if Ben wasn't coaching high school football, I'd hire Ben in the company, and he would do all my marketing. Ben is a marketing genius.
Yes. So to shine some light on, man, my family is from North Carolina, so I was born a Tar Heel. You know what I mean? My oldest sister was actually born in Carolina, but I was born in Fort Wayne. But
gotcha.
This is a good one.
This is the fan in me speaking. It's a bad look when you go from number one to not making the tournament. We got to do a better job, man.
Yeah, okay, now.
We'll get it turned around.
Now let's pivot to Dave and I's Hoosiers, Indiana. Tell you what, when the draw came out, Dave.
Not my Hoosiers.
Not your Hoosiers. Okay, I guess I'll take credit. It's my Hoosiers.
Sure.
When the draw came out.
My Hoosiers a long time ago.
When the draw came out, I said, ooh, Kent State. That's the last team we wanted to play.
Right.
Now, for entertainment purposes, I think Kent State plus the 5 is all day long. I think if IU can get through Kent State, which I'm not sure we can, Kent State is a phenomenal basketball team. I think the bracket could open up for the Hoosiers, but guards. Talk about the freshman guard, Spino Hood, how key he is. Obviously, we know how great Trace Jackson Davis is. I've never seen a kid in Trace Jackson Davis who could get up off the floor so quick multiple times. But I think it comes down to Hood, the guard play.
For sure.
Once again,
how key is that, Jamal?
Before he goes, that's the same thing with Lawyer and the other guard for Purdue.
The tournament's guard play.
Right.
There's the highs and lows of these freshmen.
Yeah, absolutely.
You don't know what you're getting.
Right. So just to give another quick shout out, you know what I mean? Trace Jackson Davis, that's another Indy Heat alum.
How do you like that, man?
So is CJ Gunn at IU. Freshman there. He's not playing a lot of minutes, but he'll be a great player for them in the years to come. But, man, we had the opportunity to coach against Hushafino in the summer.
Yeah.
He played with Team Thad, another Nike EYBL team.
Yeah.
I tell a lot of people he kind of played the wing in the summertime, and then he transitioned into the point guard spot. This tournament is won with the guard play. You know what I mean? He's done an excellent job of running that team, especially with the loss of their emotional leader, Xavier Johnson. Again, you go as far as your guards. You got to get some shot making from from the wings, and Trace has to be Trace.
And, Matt Brumbaugh, he's a big-time IU fan. There's got to be a want from these kids. They got to want this.
You got to want.
There's a lack of that in a lot of games with IU.
I'm telling you what.
You go on that 3-game slide they did. How?
It is feast or famine. They are 40-1 dogs to win the tournament. I'm telling you.
Sure.
If they could get through Kent State and Hood Schifino gets hot, IU could
when he's hot, they can't stop him.
It's so funny, the NCAA tournament, because I could see IU being gone after the first game.
For sure.
Or I could see IU making a run to Final Four. I think
Kent State's going to be a tough game.
I did 2 brackets, and I did exactly that.
That's
one
exactly.
in, one out.
I think IU wins a close one in that one. I don't think they roll over Kent State, but I think they win that game. I think Kent State will give it their all. I just think it's too much.
Who else are you looking at? I'm going to tell you a team I like to possibly win the tournament. Gonzaga. I think Gonzaga was so disappointed last year. They're under the radar right now.
Yeah,
when you fill your bracket out, Jamal, nobody knows more about hoops. And you've coached a lot of these kids.
Yeah, for sure.
What teams are you kind of zeroing in on that you think have a legitimate chance to cut down the nets?
I look at the teams that have star power at that guard position. Not a huge Gonzaga guy. They let me down a lot when we're filling out these brackets, and they're going to run into TCU. TCU has excellent guard play, man.
I'm not a fan of the West Coast at all.
They're going to be
Pac-12.
tough. Right. Texas
every year
is another team.
One of the teams, they're so good. Get in the tournament, they do nothing.
Right.
Because they can't do our play.
Right.
Yeah.
Until you run into Baylor, baby. Somebody that teaches them guards.
Yeah, it's the guards.
It's all over the floor. You know what I mean?
I'm liking Alabama.
Alabama's another one.
Well,
Alabama's
but
another
so
one.
many threes. What if you go cold one night, Dave?
Right, for sure. And that's some of the, you live by the 3, die by the 3. Yep. But I like TCU. I like Texas. Marquette is tough. Again, you can't count out the Hoosiers. Can't count out Purdue. Purdue has won some big games. They're battle tested.
One bracket I got them winning it. The other bracket I got Bama beating them.
Again, man, that's why it's called March Madness.
Yep.
Let the madness happen.
But here you are in March Madness. I'm going to go pick up my boys and eat chicken wings and watch basketball. What's it like for Jamal Howell to go from game to game and know you either helped coach that kid or you coached against that kid? What's it like to watch all those games and have those relationships?
And who was your first big one?
First big name?
Yep.
First big name or first pro?
First pro.
Whatever you feel.
First pro was Yogi Ferrell.
Yogi Ferrell was tough.
First pro was Yogi Ferrell.
I loved him, man.
First big name was Rayfield Davis. So started with Rayfield when he was in the 7th grade. He played for a team.
Another Southside kid.
Southside.
Yep, absolutely. So I coached, me and a buddy of mine, Jared Quarles, coached with Joe Jordan had a program back in the day called SAC, and Rayfield was that first kid that we had.
Here's a funny little thing. You both played for Greg Taylor. My brother's here from the Michigan area, and Brumball both played for Greg Taylor at Northrop High School.
Right.
So,
as we wrap up with you, Jamal, we're going to do a rapid-fire round.
Okay.
In these last 3 minutes, we got some questions and just want quick answers. First of all, when you're working out at Spiece or you're breaking down tape, what are you listening to right now, music-wise?
Music-wise, I'm a golden era hip-hop guy, so I might have some Nas on. Really like Nas or Jay-Z.
Yeah.
I know you're a busy man, but are you a Netflix man?
Yes.
What are you watching?
I just finished, I think it's pronounced the Murdaugh.
Madoff?
Bertie Madoff?
No, not Madoff. The Murdaugh. It was like a little murder series.
Oh,
the
yeah,
guy
I know what
had
you're talking about. Was that
his
good?
family. Yeah, it's excellent. I'm a documentary type of dude, so I'm always watching that stuff.
Have you watched Narcos?
Oh, yeah.
I just finished both of them.
Okay.
And I'm a financial guy. Watch Madoff.
Yeah, for sure.
Fascinating.
Yeah.
Now, you've got so much going on. You found your purpose, done so much for kids in the 260 around the state. When basketball season ends, where do you go?
It doesn't end.
I guess
Right.
it's year-round now, but do you have a point? Dave's right. I guess it never ends.
Year-round.
Do you ever have a point where you have a chance to kind of recharge? And if you do recharge, where do you go and what do you do?
When I the gym, my gym time, personal gym time, that's where I met Joe at.
Just see yourself.
So that's my time to recharge, is getting in there and get a workout in. But I also like to just be around my family. So I'm a real big family guy. So we do always do family dinners and everything. So once I can kind of get around my cousins and my aunties, that's always an opportunity to kind of recharge
Here's one for
the
you.
spirit a little bit.
What is your favorite restaurant in town?
Favorite restaurant? Ooh, I got a bunch of them.
Go.
Love Black Canyon.
Black Canyon.
Black Canyon is real good. Love Hideout. You know what I mean?
Hideout is underrated, man.
Man,
Rumble
shout
loves
out
that
to my
place.
guy Sherman Bell.
Yeah, that
Sherman,
place is underrated.
Man, yep, love Hideout, man. Those some of the places that I go.
Favorite
You know what I
Mexican?
mean? Favorite Mexican? Ooh, Los Lamos.
Wow.
Yeah, good
Yep.
place. Now, to wrap it up, man, and this could be any moment. What was the biggest moment, the moment you remember the most in sports for you? And it can
For
be
you.
anything, whether you're coaching or playing, because you've had so many different experiences. But
Right.
what is the one moment that when Jamal Howell lays his head down at night in the pillow, he thinks of?
One of the moments is, as a player, I have two of them. One of the moments is, speaking of Indiana Tech, you know what I mean? Hope those guys win that
Yes.
thing.
Yes, baby.
It'd be
But
great for the city.
being-
260.
Yeah.
260.
But being on that first team to ever win a conference title.
Wow.
And
Wow.
listen to Dan Klein and Jason Klein say that was one of the best teams to ever come through Indiana Tech. So first year we won a national title, and then we lost in the Elite Eight that year in the national tournament.
Are you still in contact with Jason?
Yep, still talk to Jason. And I
He's
coach
down in
with Dan.
Missouri.
Right. So speaking of Dan, that brings me to my next special moment. And it happened in this building. So we were recruiting, and we're going after Jaren Jackson Jr. with the Memphis Grizzlies right now. And so
Wow.
we bring him in, and we have a meeting. So Todd Hensley, who runs Gym Rats, Dan Klein, myself, and Jared Quarles. We have a meeting with Jaren and his family down in the fitness center at a table. And this is like one of my welcome to the grassroots basketball moments. And you listen to a lot of NBA players say this. And we asked Jaren, like, why do you want to play in the EYBL? And he pulls out a sheet of paper. And he was like, because the country has said all of these kids are better than me, and they all play in the EYBL.
Wow.
He said, and I'm coming to show everybody
He was
that I'm the
prepared.
best kid in the country. And we watched a kid in 3 months go from being ranked outside the top 80 to the top 3.
Wow. What
So
a
just a
journey.
maturation process.
Well prepared kid right there.
Yeah.
Jamal, thank you so much for sharing your journey.
Absolutely,
The
man.
260
Pleasure,
is
man.
blessed,
Yeah,
brother.
I appreciate you guys having me. Appreciate you
260
guys
is
having
blessed
me.
to have you. And I tell you what, Dave, the name Jamal Howell will always be spoken with pride in the 260. And coming up, another name, a name that everybody knows in the 260,
Most beloved man there is.
Officer Payne.
James
Coming
Payne,
up next.
that's my guy.
That's right. James
Yep.
Payne's up next on the 260.